actually made women become somebody that doesn't have to depend on men. At this point, women can live without men. They don't want to. They can because they have been pushed so far into this narrative that we're talking about. If they heard a man talk about femininity the way that you just talked about, they would have hope that there are other people out there who embrace the femininity rather than trying to diminish it. They're like, why are you being so emotional? And you're just weak and you need me.
They're like, I want an orange, but I want it to taste like an apple.
Right, exactly.
It's like, you got to pick, like, you don't understand how oranges work. They don't taste like apples.
Femininity. They are downplaying it. They're talking bad about it to the point where women, and I was one of these women, don't even know what femininity really is because men have made all of the traits seem horrible. They have made them not even appealing to women.
Oh yeah.
Because they're like, why would you be so emotional? Why would you do this?
But men aren't doing that on purpose. It's ignorance, right? Because
but it's like, still having the effect.
Yeah, I agree with you. They're judging women by the man's world ruler, and she's falling short, and then they're criticizing her and say she needs to be able to take care of herself. Like, how can she even survive in this world? I don't even understand how she, like, without me, she would just wither away. And they're making that be a bad thing. When that's a good thing in the sense that, like, I'm using extreme language, but what I'm saying is that that's good that she depends on you and that she, like, is...
Well, now women don't want to depend on men, and that's caused a lot of this problem because they have actually made women become somebody that doesn't have to depend on men. At this point, women can live without men. They don't want to. They can because they have been pushed so far into this narrative that we're talking about. They can live without men. So in order for her to find the value in a man now, you have to be a diamond in the rough. You have to be a man that supports her and protects her and allows her to open up to her feminine again, because so many women have been pushed here. Like I said, I don't know any other man who has explained how valuable femininity is. And that's also what women don't understand, is because, like, women now are trying, I guess, to show other women how valuable femininity is. And I'm not saying that they need a man to tell them that femininity is valid, but if they heard even just this, like, hopefully these clips get cut up real good, because if they heard a man talk about femininity the way that you just talked about, they would have hope that there are other people out there who embrace the femininity rather than trying to diminish it. And it's confusing because, like I said, I'm not saying that women just follow everything that they hear or see men say, but when you constantly have men putting women down for their feminine attributes, but yet say they want feminine women.
They don't even understand what they're asking for.
It's so confusing. And women would rather take on masculine traits and just be alone and learn how to be on their own than be with these men who say they want feminine, but when you're in a relationship with them, they're like, why are you being so emotional? And you're just weak and you need me.
They're like, I want an orange, but I want it to taste like an apple.
Exactly.
It's like, you got to pick, like, you don't understand how oranges work. They don't taste like apples. Just, they don't. Like, the thing that makes it look like an orange is the thing that makes it not taste like an apple. It tastes like an orange.
Exactly.
And that's, but again, it comes from ignorance, because, again, I get on coaching calls with guys and they're like, she's just, like, the littlest thing bothers her and she can't handle it. She'll be stressed out about these little things. She can't handle these things. It's like, she doesn't even know how much I have to work and how much stuff that I'm dealing with on a daily basis. If she dealt with 10% of what I'm dealing with, she would crumble. And I'm like, I agree with you 100%. What's wrong with that? I'm like, yes, that is how women are. Like, from the man's viewpoint, it is true. But none of those things you described are bad things. That just means that you have a purpose in life. Because men are like, what's my purpose? Your purpose is, you are tougher. Like, but don't belittle the woman for not being tougher, because then she's going to try and show up tougher. And then you're going to be like, she keeps on trying to show me how tough she is. You're giving her that yardstick to measure it. It's like the same thing as, like, if you measured a man and like into, I don't know, ballet, or, well, I guess men are in ballet, but, you know, like a dress or something, and you're like, his shoulders are so big. It's like, Yeah, because that's not the thing that you can't measure it against that thing. I'm trying to think of a good feminine thing to measure a man against. But my point is that men are measuring women against the masculine yardstick, right? And that in the masculine world, in the masculine yardstick, being weak has no value. Right.
Well, they do that with everything, though, because we've done other episodes where men will be like, oh, she just wants a Chad. That's them putting their preferences on the woman.
Right.
Women aren't searching for that, but their brain can't comprehend that women aren't searching for mostly visual because they're searching for largely visual. I'm not saying entirely, but that is why. And then people are like, I'm tired of the men visual thing. Like, okay, yes, everybody's visual, but a man will make certain decisions based more on appearance than women would.
But I'll tell you what women need to do, though, is because I said the thing about femininity, but women need to demand to show up feminine no matter what, and then if the guy isn't going to, then he's not the guy for you. Like, you have to force him. You'd be like, look, this is how I'm going to be. I'm going to be vulnerable.
Right.
I'm going to be emotional. I'm going to get upset. I'm not worried about being tough. I don't need to climb the mountains that you can climb. Your job is harder than mine, and that's fine. I don't care. Like, this is how I am, right? And the guy that is like perfect, that's the guy for you. The guy that's like, what? He still needs to grow up and learn some things.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because that's like, you just have to insist that I'm not going to let the world shape me and change me. I'm going to be feminine regardless.
Well, I think what you said is very true and very valuable. And I think that women need to find the power in being feminine. And it's not the power by being masculine.
Right. I know what you're saying.
Because when they think power, they're like, okay, act like a man.
Right.
Like, they're not thinking that, but they start doing the actions that are more masculine.
Yeah, the empowerment by being feminine. Maybe that's the word. But
well, I mean, I still think there is power behind it because like you said, you show up and you're like, this is how I'm going to be.
Right.
You can take it or you can leave it.
Right.
And there is power in that. There is power in owning up to who you are.
Yeah.
And putting that out there. And that's even being vulnerable. By telling somebody, hey, this is who I am.
Right.
I'm soft. I want to frolic in the field with flowers. And I'm going to tell you how I feel. And I might cry. Like, women have gotten to a point too where they try to act like it's a good thing not to cry. And they try to make other people be like, oh, well, if you cry, I was also that woman where like I got so masculinized by all of these things that I was like, I don't ever want to cry. But now that's not the case because I'm more in my feminine. But like, you have to own up to these things. And by owning up to them, there is power in that.
Yeah, no,
and
you're right. Yeah.
I think that when we think femininity and they are all these more vulnerable, soft things or like weaker, people think that there's no power in that. They think that they don't have any leverage for anything. They don't think that they can like use this in the fight against whatever they're facing.
Yeah.
But the thing is that a good majority of women have been masculine at some point. So you have the power to get things done. You have the power. You felt it.
Right.
And you can use that power in your femininity, like we were just talking about.
Yeah.
So like, even if I was vulnerable and you attacked me, which you would never do, but even if you're a woman who's like, okay, well, I'm going to embrace being feminine. I'm going to embrace being vulnerable. And the next time a man hurts me, I'm just going to be like, that really hurt me.
Right.
Like that really hurt my feelings. And I feel this way about it. And if a man's like, get over it or like whatever,
you saved yourself years of life.
That's all you say is okay. And then you leave.
That's it. Because you save yourself time. You
if you're
cut
married,
to the chase. Yeah.
You have the boundary. Be like, look, I came to you vulnerable. I told you hurt me.
Right.
And you've just continued to do that. And so for my sake and this conversation, it's going to end right now.
Right.
And when you can talk to me in a way where I can open up to you and it's not met with an attack, we can continue this conversation. That is not being vulnerable.
No.
That is having the power in the vulnerability.
But I'm better